All right, welcome along. It's episode 60 of the Rated RR podcast. Rish Roshan right here, along with my partner in crime, Ziaul Raushan. Raushan, how are you doing?
Rosh, I'm very, very good. The Singapore Premier League title race is on a knife edge and it's really exciting. And to that end, I'm really excited with the guests we have lined up today.
Yeah, perfect time to have the guest that we do have on this week's episode. And I'm delighted to say it is the Lalić City Sailors interim head coach, Luka Lalic. Luka, thanks for taking the time to come and speak to us on this week's episode of the podcast. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, and really thank you guys for this opportunity. Appreciate it.
Now, Luka, like Rosh touched on, it's a great time to have you on. 4 games played under your interim charge, 3-1, 1 loss. How are you feeling about the start you've made to your tenure as interim head coach of the Lalić City Sailors?
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice honeymoon period. Yeah, and then, the last game was, let's say, not ideal. I think we, in general, have really good group of players, really good quality in the team. And I'm really excited with the last few weeks, and I think it will only get even better from here onwards.
Well, we've seen some of that attacking football that you spoke about in the last few weeks, Luka, in terms of having a lot of that freedom. Is that what you meant in your first pre-match interview when you spoke about going out and setting up tactically this way before the game against the Young Lions?
No, absolutely. And I think, this is really deeply engraved in my core to play an attacking football. And not only, did I like that, but I think also fans that come to those stadiums would appreciate this kind of football as well. And my experience in Netherlands taught me one thing, that winning is not enough, but you have to win by playing well. That's a little bit touch, but it really resonates with me. And then on the other hand, let's say if we have a club like Lalić City Sailors in the league, I think expecting us to defend would be strange, let's say, to say the least, right? With this kind of, let's say, conditions that we have.
So is it just to sort of jump on that very quickly, because you mentioned playing in a certain way and the expectation of playing in a certain style. I feel like as well that should be the expectation, as you said, at the big club like the Lalić City Sailors. Is that something that sort of runs through the club? Is that something you feel is a philosophy of the way LCS would like to play their football going forward as well?
No, I definitely feel that way, and I think that Lalić City Sailors have to have their own identity, right? And this is not, it's not that simple. You can say the first 3 games went well, but it's game against Gelang showed that this is a process, right? And we are doing everything to get there as quick as possible, definitely.
Luka, you talk about needing to play on the front foot, attack always. One quote I read is, for me, the number one thing is intensity of play. You said that. So to that end, how are you drumming this message home? Because in the first 3 games, at least, LCS never took the foot off the pedal despite the scoreline. Yeah.
Well, I think different people have different definition of intensity. For me, it's really, let's keep the ball in play as much as possible. Let's, dictate the tempo of the game and force the other teams to adapt to us, right? And to be honest, in order to do that, for my liking, we need to get a little bit fitter. In order to do that, we installed some, let's say, periodization programs to help us get there. So far, it's working okay. We'll see how it's going to work out in the coming games. And obviously, the types of training sessions that we do and the mental aspects, they play a big part too. I have to say, I'm delighted what kind of energy players bring to the session every day.
Luka, it's interesting to me because from the outside, there might be people who will say coaching this Lalić City Sailors side is a real blessing, right? To be able to have such quality to sort of call upon in terms of the difference between the squad that the Sailors have and the rest of the league. Is there a lot of work that you feel you have to do on the training ground, or do you think it's a case of just a few tweaks here and there with the players? Mostly it's about trying to keep them happy.
Yeah. I mean, look, if every coach has their own vision, right, and philosophy, and for me, I know I cannot make all the changes I want immediately. I think I have experience not to think that way. And like you said yourself, we do have big quality in the team, and I'm not going to teach these guys to play football. We really given some basic structures, and everything positive that happened, it's really down to the players' quality in the team.
Look, more often than not, you touch on the quality of the players. It's not just 11 quality players you have a full squad of quality players. And we've seen players who perhaps got lesser minutes early on in the season, Saifullah, Hami, even Bill, getting some game time. Is that your philosophy as well, that football is more than just 11 players? You need a strong squad?
No, absolutely. But when it comes to the team selection, I believe in the meritocracy. So, and every player is treated equally in that way. So you can see, for example, against Geylang, Hami was in first 11, of course, with Diego's injury and so on, but you had to choose one, and he was definitely the one who deserved it the most throughout the week. So I believe in giving chance of the young players, because young players will eventually be the future of this club. And we discussed this we discussed the lineup in training sessions, we discussed with the coaching staff, also some of the senior players, and then we make a decision all together what is the best lineup to have for that particular week. And everybody's working really hard in training. It's really like a healthy competition atmosphere. And for that reason, for me, the job is in that aspect pretty easy. And of course, when everybody fight for their place, then eventually everybody will get their chance.
I can't tell you, how good it is as a player to know that if you perform well in training sessions, if you work hard, if you get an opportunity to play and you are playing well, you keep your place in the side. There's a meritocracy there, because there have been instances, even in my playing career, and sometimes now you hear it from certain players, where they feel that they're giving a lot in training, but they're not really getting it back in terms of having a lack of a reputation or having a lack of a name. So I'm pretty sure it's quite refreshing for the guys that you have in the squad as well, because it's a big squad. There are lots of players who want to play for the national team as well, who need to have those minutes. And that in itself, it can be an issue, right, Luka, in terms of trying to juggle how these players get their minutes and how they get the game time.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's very important to be clear from the start. And from first day, I laid out the rules, and, respect is something that is not given, it's earned. And everybody started from zero when I came, because I didn't know these guys. Or, of course, I watched some games before, but I think it's not objective to judge from that aspect until you get to know the person, right? And everybody accepted it. So far, we don't have any problems of that kind. Everybody's really professional, taking it really seriously, and understand about how I make selections. So no issues whatsoever on that part.
Let's talk tactics quickly, Roshan. I know you want to jump in with something else, but let's talk tactics a little bit, because it looks to me already in the games that you've been in charge so far at Lalić City Sailors, there are a few tweaks, there are a few things that are a little bit different. It looks like you're playing a little bit more in the transition. We've also, I think, at times seen players with the freedom to swap roles at times within the system. What would you say is sort of your style, or that flexibility that you have tactically, and do you think it suits perfectly with what the quality that you have available to you in the squad, in a sense?
No, absolutely. Because if we talk about attacking football, you need to have quality individuals who can make a difference moving forward, right? And I think we have more than enough on that part. So in that sense, look, my job as a coach, and I maintain this position, that it's to bring the team to the final third. So we have created structures in that sense. So what do we do in phase one, phase two? How do we make sure to have, let's say, an overload in a build-up, and maybe equivalent number of players in the middle, or plus one in the middle, or so on. And then when we get to the final third, we are in 1-1 situation, or we have a third man runs and so on. So when you give these kind of, let's say, opportunities to players, and you have quality in the team, and you give them a little bit more freedom, well, you saw the result for yourself in the first 3 games.
Yeah, I left the tactical questions to Roshan because that's more his subject matter to dive into. I want to talk about man management slightly, Luka, if I may. I know the head coach role entails both tactics as well as man management, and you touch on giving players chances based on meritocracy and stuff like that. What is your man management style, and how do you go about cajoling these players to give you the best?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very pragmatic and objective person. I've learned in a difficult way throughout my career to exclude emotions from any decision making, and the players know that, they feel that already. So anybody can come to me. I can talk to anyone all the time. Is it is it an assistant coach or a senior player, or the youngest player we have in the squad, or is it Abang Zek or whoever it is? They can always come to me and with any concerns or suggestions for improvement, whatever it's in their mind, and everybody will be heard, and everybody will be given a voice. But everybody will also be told how we're going to proceed from that point on. So I believe in really open culture. But when I say that, it means also being receptive to criticism, being receptive to direct feedback. And I think that makes things very simple, very clear for everyone. And so far, also on that end, really no issues whatsoever.
Luka, I think back to that game against Geylang, and at halftime, I noticed that there were 4 of you. Before you went into the locker room, there were 4 of you having a discussion out on the pitch. Noor Rahman was there as well. I think there was a coach, Rodrigo, who's with the LCS Sailors Academy. Could you tell us about who those people are in your backroom staff? Sort of a brains trust, so to speak, or a think tank, so to speak. Who those people are and how that relationship works?
Yeah, no problem. So I think obviously everybody know Coach Noor. He's my first assistant. Then we have also Coach Dan. He came from Netherlands, recently joined the academy, but is a really young coach with a lot of potential. And Rodrigo is a technical coach, and he mostly works with attacking players. So these guys have been working with me for a while now, right? And they know, let's say, when I talk about Dan and Rodri, they know exactly what I want. So the reason I brought them over is really to help me smoothen the transition, because I can say I can do everything myself, and I can do it okay or good, right? But with these guys, I can do it so much better because I like to give other coaches responsibilities. Now Noah has adapted fairly quickly to understanding also what I want. So I think we work very well as a group of people, right? What happened at a halftime is actually what happens every halftime. So I always like to give players 5 minutes just to cool down, regardless of are we winning or losing, just to put the emotions down a little bit, and we stay on the field just to discuss what kind of things we want to share during the team talk. And then we go in and then again, it's also that part is agreement as well for me, because 2 eyes can see something, but 8 eyes can see a lot more. So that's the reason behind it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's excellent. Look, I want to ask you as well, in terms of your approach to players and how you speak to them. There's an old school way of screaming and shouting at halftime and screaming and shouting at players in training sessions or during matches and all that. What is your sort of approach to this?
I mean, working in senior football, I don't see a need to raise my voice with guys who are adults. I have treated everybody with respect. But having said that, I also speak what's on my mind. And I also ask for feedback, because this is not my game plan. This is not Luka's club or whatever. This is our game plan as a team, as a group, right? And this is as a club as well. So everybody have to have a buy-in, but also everybody have to have freedom to give suggestions. And I believe that a lot of times as a coach, you see one thing, but you let players speak, they give you better ideas than you can think of as a coach. So everybody have opportunity to speak, and they, of course, the final say, we agree on it, but it comes from me. But in general, this is very open, very simple, to be honest.
Luka, on that note, do you think being 35 years young has helped you relate with the players much better?
I think being a coach in football for more than 15 years has helped me more than anything. And also, let's say, the background where I come from, right, has let's say, developed my character to a certain extent to be the way I am today, and experiences I had to throughout my coaching career. But of course, the age plays a part. And to be honest, you can see all over the world, there is a lot of young coaches that are coming up. I mean, if you look at Nagelsmann, for example, a lot of younger coaches are getting opportunities in big clubs as well. So, I mean, we didn't have any issue in that part. I know some of the guys are very close to my age. A couple of guys are older than me as well. But I've received nothing but respect since day one. So does it help? Yeah, it helps a lot. I know how to use Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. So sometimes we have jokes on that part, but that's about it.
Yeah, Raushan's an expert at using Instagram as well. So he's he's very well versed.
I get a couple messages a week from him, so I saw that.
Absolutely,
always sliding into DMs. It's part of the game.
he can give me a masterclass or so, man. I desperately need that. I'm not very good with the social media side of things. Listen, Luka, I want to also highlight the fact that obviously Kim Do-hoon was a very different style of coach, had his own tactical ideas and his input and how he approached that with the players, and you've got your own ideas. And there was talk on the outside about how the players are looking a little bit more liberated perhaps from the Kim Do-hoon era. Is that sort of evident to you when you took over? Do you feel like the players were a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more composed now, and a little bit happier coming into the training day to day?
I mean, look, you can comment on different coaches different ways. If you look at, for example, Atletico Madrid and what Diego Simeone is doing, you would think like, wow, these guys are so restricted in everything, but they still get results. So I think there is no need to comment on, let's say, what happened before. My coaching style is different. I think to that, maybe you would call it a little bit more modern. I think that players really like it, because I do like feedback. I do like to hear from players how they feel in training, how they like the training, right? and yeah, so far is again on that part has been brilliant as well. And there is a difference for sure, and I think the players are responding in a really good way.
Luka, to that end, you mentioned this 15-year experience in football, having learned your craft over in Holland and then across various different opportunities. How do you think that has prepared you for the job you're taking on now?
No, absolutely. I mean, I worked in youth amateur football and youth, well, let's call it youth professional football, right? And I worked in senior professional football and senior amateur football, so in 5 different continents. So I think you can pick up everything from anybody, you know, from a first team coach in Netherlands or from a high school coach in the United States. You can always find things to pick up and to learn how to do things or how not to do things. This is also part of the learning process. Yeah, I think all these experiences that I went through really gave me a good foundation. Let's say not only as a coach, but also in terms of how to manage these guys. And yeah, I think the stage I'm in is really a natural progression to my career. I feel I had a lot of opportunities when I was living Feyenoord to take over first teams in various countries, especially in Eastern Europe. I decided to put it on hold because I really believe in this project and what we are doing in the Lalić City Sailors. And yeah, but I'm grateful for this opportunity, and yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Luka, specifically in terms of what you've learned throughout your career in football, and I want to look at your time at the Lalić City Sailors, whether it was at the academy level and whether it's now in the senior role. What have you learned from being at this club?
Yeah, I mean, this is, let's say, I got a lot of feedback when I decided to come back to Singapore because I was here before.
Yeah.
And Singapore is really my second home, right? I worked in a lot of different places, but I love this country, and I'm happy to be in Singapore. So yeah, how I feel being Lalić City Sailors, I've never been more happier in my life, but at the same time more motivated because there is, let's say, a lot of views on Singapore football, what is possible, what is not, right? I think there is really, when you talk about youth, there is really good opportunities to make something great out of this project. And when you talk about senior football, I think there is also an opportunity to create first mega club in Singapore that can compete on an international level as well.
I mean, it's a project that sort of keeps wanting to grow, right? Keep wanting to develop. I had the opportunity. I was fortunate enough to be invited to have a look at the training ground, and I was really sort of blown away by it all, right? It's an incredibly professional structure. Lalić City Sailors have always been praising them for the fact that they're such a really well-run club. You know, you've experienced life, as you said, you know, in Europe, in the Netherlands with Feyenoord. How do the Sailors sort of, how does that setup sort of match up to the European standards that you've been a part of?
I think it's the comparison is a little bit unfair to be very honest, because like if you take, for example, the Feyenoord's home game, it's 50,000 every single time. There is no like, okay, 45, but this is what you're dealing with. There is a lot more, let's say, need for a lot more people, a lot more things from that side. But in terms of, let's say, technical organization, of course, I think the way that the club is run at the moment is let's say, trying to replicate some already successful examples across the world. And I think so far has been doing a really good job. But it's my personal philosophy, right? Is it first team or academy, that you can always do better in something, and we always, as a club, look for ways to improve.
Have you been surprised by anything in your time at the club?
Yes, to be honest. I think the most surprising thing for me is that, you know, stepping into the first team, you always expect to have some difficult characters, right? Difficult guys to deal with. But to be honest, this is not the case at all. It seems like this group of players are really all good guys. And I know it's when I say it, when I hear myself saying it, it doesn't sound like, yeah, this guy is not saying the truth. But that's really, ask me what's the surprise. That's for me the biggest surprise. It's really not one, let's say, small group separating, or it's just really one whole group working together. So it's yeah, I would say that.
Luka, as well, you said you waited a long time to take up a head coach role, and now you are in a head coach role for a month, just over a month now. Has it lived up to the expectation, to the billing?
No, absolutely. I mean, look, it's I worked with first team environments before, not only in Singapore. And of course, there are differences between coaching youth and coaching the first team, huge differences. I think being a head coach of the first team, the biggest difference is pressure. But I've been dealing with pressure since a very young age. I have no problem with pressure, and I enjoy it, to be honest, more than anything. So to answer your question, yeah, it does live up to my expectations, and I'm very happy, working with these guys every day, and I just look forward to the things to come.
You mentioned pressure, Luka, and I want to touch on that quickly because you're in a title race. But this time around, last season the Sailors were essentially chasing Albrecht. This time around, you're the team that's being chased. Do you feel like it's your job as a coach to try and relieve that pressure off your players, or do you feel like the players themselves don't really get burdened too much by that pressure of playing for such a big club?
I mean, it's when it comes to players, it's definitely showing the character. And the math is very simple. You win the next few games, you won the title. And I made that clear to them as well. So I think for me as a coach, and I think every coach should serve like a tank for emotions for their players. So that's why maybe you see me coaching, you don't see me coaching. I try not to show much emotions during the games, but also during, let's say, interaction with the team during those kind of heated up moments, because we need to, let's say, absorb all this energy and negative energy and make sure that they are happy on the field, that they are motivated, they're excited to play. And yeah, for me, I would like to take everybody's pressure off their back and direct it to myself, because I think that's my job, and I have no problem handling that part.
Luka, speaking of pressure, like Roshan said, you are fully in that title race, and it is in LCS's hands. What would winning the title with the Lion City Sailors mean to you?
To me personally, to be honest, I always, my happiness comes from other people's happiness. I don't know if that sounds a little bit strange, but when I speak to my family or my wife, my family days back home, when I make them happy, I'm happy. And in this case, it's no difference. And I know what this will mean to Mr. Forrest and to other club management. I know what this will mean to players and all the technical staff, also to the academy as well. So I think winning the title and seeing them being happy, and having a good mood throughout the coming weeks and so on, that will make me really happy. And of course, it will mean a lot for the club, definitely.
Luka, do you have any coaching idols or idols in management around the world of football?
Yeah, I think now we're going to start an argument, but yeah.
Go on, we love arguments, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit contradictory when I tell you how I like to play and who are the coaches that I like. I like Jose Mourinho from the earlier days in parts of Porto, Chelsea, first time, and Inter Milan. That was for me, the new generation, the time of footballers. At the moment, I really like Klopp, and I think everybody can see that Liverpool is going through, let's say, a difficult stage right now.
Yeah,
and I'm really excited to see how is he going to deal with it. And I think definitely at this moment it would be Klopp for sure.
What is it that you take from these two coaches, Mourinho and Klopp, aside from the fact that they both work their teams well on the transitions?
Well, Mourinho, you can see every time he was leaving the club, you have players like Marco Materazzi crying in front of the cameras, right? So I think that the relation that he creates with players is really special, and I would like to be at that stage as well. When it comes to Klopp, I think the intensity at which his teams have been playing, not only Liverpool but also Dortmund, has been just in the next level. And ideal case scenario, we try to come as close to that as possible. This is not possible in the coming weeks, but let's see what's going to happen. Right, I'm not talk too much ahead, but this is how I like to play with the academy teams, with youth teams as well. It's like total pressure, always going forward. So and I enjoy watching Liverpool games. Sometimes watching games that teams don't play this way, to me, it's a little bit boring, because the football becomes very static when one team is not really pressing high. So watching Liverpool games is always entertaining. Even if we watch a game against Napoli yesterday, they lost, but you can see they never step away from pushing a high press, right? And it's always a good game to watch.
Luka, I've got two important questions for you. First one, does that mean you're a Liverpool fan?
Most definitely not. I'm a diehard West Ham fan.
Okay.
So, and I had the pleasure to have David Moyes on my final week of the pro license course. So there was one thing of the bucket list ticked off. It's definitely West Ham. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's interesting. I didn't see the answer coming, but it's cool to know. Second most important question is, you talked about it there. Maybe perhaps thinking about a long-term project. Do you see yourself going back to youth football, or are you gunning for the head coach role?
Look, I mean, everybody knows that my position is interim, and the club is at the moment this transition phase. Whatever the club decision is going forward, I'm happy with it. At the moment, there was no discussion whatsoever about this. We are just looking towards the next few games, and we will see what happens after that.
Luka, can I ask you a question now about some people out there might say it's an easy job coaching the Lalić City Sailors. Tell us, is it easy?
I mean, you guys work in football for a very long time, right? So you know that everybody is a coach and everybody is a football expert everywhere. I stopped caring about what people say a long time ago, to be honest. Is it easy? I think game against Geylang showed that it's not that simple, right? It's not all rainbows and sunshines. But like I said, I appreciate those challenges, and it is a challenging job whenever you step into a team which is halfway through the season or reaching these last 7-8 games. Do I change things? Do I not? Do I try to adapt? Do I not? So it's not that simple, right? And of course, I want to get the best out of this team. That's the situation we're in at the moment.
Roshan, you got your answer there?
Oh, I got my answer. Definitely got my answer. And I'm sure a few people out there got their answer as well.
Yeah, I think loud and clear as well. Luka, let's quickly talk about youth football, because you spent a long time working on the Lalić City Sailors Academy. In your opinion, are we moving in the right direction when it comes to youth football? And what are some changes you'd like to see in the years to come? Not just with the academy, but in youth football in general.
Understand. But I think, to be fair, I can only talk about our academy, because I'm not sure what's happening in other, let's say, we have a lot of good organizations who are trying to make a difference as well. But for me, I can tell you personally, proper development path, this is really important to have. So what step do players take until they reach the first team? Competition, I think we need to have to expose the players to higher level competition domestically and internationally. So you guys probably read that we have helped start this Puma Youth Champions League. I think this will be the first step, because we have, let's say, adapted a lot of things to a competition, right? There are some obstacles I think they need to be solved. Most prominent one, definitely a national service. And of course, I'm not trying to dispute anything. Every Singaporean has to go through national service. We have first few generations of early enlistment program that we created already inside NS. So their job is to be a good soldier first, and then when and if possible to come out to have a training. So we are dealing on this at the club level pretty well. And but bottom line, there is no doubt in my mind that if there are few good structures in the place to address these things that I mentioned, there is talent in Singapore. There are talented players who can excel at the international level. There are at a young age, that's at 12, 13, 14. So now that's why I said the development path really needs to be structured in a good way, so that the level doesn't drop as they get older. And this is not only problem in Singapore, this is a problem in a lot of countries in Asia, but also in Europe, that there is no a proper development path and transition between junior to senior football. So those are some of the things, let's say, we are trying to address as well.
Luka, you touched on it there. Can you just tell us a bit more about the Puma Youth Champions League, which is championed by the Lalić City Sailors, and I'm sure you had a part to play. What are the objectives and what can we expect?
Yeah, I think it's important to have a good structure in terms of age-specific rules and also relative spaces. And for example, progression in terms of match duration or pitch sizes or so on. So that has been structured really on pair with, let's say, some of the top academies in Europe. And all of this is intended just to increase intensity of play, even for such young guys. So it's funny because I know Norali also many years, and the first thing we talk about before the match against Geylang, he came to me and said, "Wow, I saw your small guys playing in this tournament sevens. Those guys can play, man." I said, "Yeah, they can." But why they can play is one of the reasons that we allow a lot of self-expression from young age. So we don't restrict them. We just let them feel free when they play football, and we try to create that street football environment. So I give you one example. When we start this league, for example, for U10 and U11 age groups, there will be no referee. And now you're looking at me like, what? But there is no referee. We let the kids decide. Is it a foul? Is it a throw-in? Is it my ball? Is it your ball? And then let them be more engaged with each other. And that way, because, most of Singaporean players, and we talk about youth level, are very introverted. So this way we create an environment where they have no choice but to speak up. Because if I don't, maybe the other team will just take the ball and play, for example. So and this is, for me, these are very exciting changes. Of course, it's going to take some time for everybody to accept this, to adapt to this, right? But I think to put this simply, right, put all this aside, and when you talk about youth development, I mentioned that competition is important. What does that mean for me? It means creating a training where the best players train with the best players, and then together they compete against the best players. So that's what Puma Youth Champions League is about.
Roshan, is there anything else you would like to get out of Luka, like to squeeze out of him?
No, I think
before we let him go.
I think we've squeezed him well, but I do want to find out a bit more about Luka, the man. We've heard a lot about the head coach, the youth coach, the footballing side. I think the listeners want to get to know a bit more about Luka. And there's one important question that somebody has asked once I put out a question on Instagram, and that's to do with Luka Lalic's hair. It's perfect every time we see him. It's perfect for 90 minutes on the bench. What is the secret behind your hair?
So I think if you want to talk about me personally, well, we'll need another podcast for that. So we can talk about it after. But hair, well, let's say, as a player, as a coach, you sweat a lot, right? So it's important to have, literally the thing that I use, it's called the glue, not the gel. So you can see the results for yourself. So But in terms of me, I mentioned already, I'm very pragmatic and objective person to everyone. But the bottom line, I'm a very boring person because I have my work and my home. During my free time, I stay home with my wife, and I get annoyed by my cat on a daily basis. And that's this is what my life is. And I enjoy doing my work. That's what fulfills me as a person, and everything else is secondary. Don't worry, my wife knows that as well. So
fantastic. Luka, I don't have much else to add. Roshan, anything else you want to quiz Luka on?
No, Luka, I just want to say thank you very much. I know you're a very busy man at the moment with the title race and things like that on your mind. I just want to say thank you very much again for taking the time to speak to us, and all the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys, and I appreciate you giving me a chance to be here. And same like you, I look forward to the continuation of the race for the title.
Cheers, Luka. All the very best. And the listeners, we hope you enjoyed that. Continue to support the channel. We'll keep the good content coming your way. Thank you very much.